This is a car that probably needs no introduction. It's the Kia Sportage, the brand's best-selling model both here in Australia and around the world, which makes this midlife update pretty damn important, which is why Kia says it's improved the way it looks, the way it drives, the tech it offers, the safety it offers, and just about everything else, as well as offering a vast option of powertrain choices that include petrol, diesel, hybrid, two-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, turbo and non-turbo alike. That's what Kia says anyway, but what do we say? Let's go find out.
Now, there are a lot of different numbers involved in the Sportage story. In fact, there are no less than 13 trim and powertrain combinations, and that's 13 different prices you can pay. So it's easier, I think, if I just pop the graphic up on the screen and you can jump to the one that interests you the most. Anyway, while there are 4 engines and 5 powertrain configurations to choose from, not all of them are available across all the trim levels. Now, the range opens with the S, which gets 17-inch alloy wheels, LED DRLs, power folding mirrors and roof rails, while inside there are cloth seats, power windows, a smart key with push button start and single zone aircon with rear seat vents. The tech at this level is handled by a 12.3-inch infotainment screen with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but no wireless charging, which pairs with a 6-speaker stereo. The driver then gets a 4.2-inch screen to deliver driving info. The SX then adds 18-inch alloy wheels, dual zone climate, standard navigation and rain sensing wipers, while the SX Plus is feeling like a bit of a sweet spot, adding 19-inch alloys, LED fog lights, artificial leather seats, wireless device charging, a heated steering wheel and a better Harman Kardon premium sound system. Finally, the flagship GT line gets the lot with 19-inch black alloys or 18-inch wheels on the hybrids, dynamic welcome lights, projection headlights, a twin screen cabin which adds a second 12.3-inch screen for the driver, a powered driver's seat and a head-up display. All models also get Kia Connect, which gives you remote access to the vehicle for things like presetting the climate, as well as over-the-air updates. I've got to say though, the flagship Sportage offers largely what the cheapest version of most Chinese SUVs offer, showing just how much price pressure the newcomers are putting on the old guard.
Now, all new Sportage models feature a redesigned front and rear end, but they actually have a slightly different look. There's one look for the cheaper models and then one for the top spec cars like this GT line. So using this as an example, I actually really like the way this has come together. The front end looks kind of bolder and more powerful now. I think mostly because of these vertically stacked headlights and these awesome DRLs that really frame the front end. Elsewhere though, they've done a good job of making a fairly big and spacious SUV feel small and not too imposing. Now, inside it's very modern Kia with this big twin screen set up here and your dual function bar here that handles things like climate control, but also mapping and media and those kind of functions. It means you don't have to dig through the screen for everything, which is always a nice touch. And I also like some of the materials used here too, like this faux wood grain is actually really nice under touch as well. But there are a couple of downsides, not so much in this top spec car, but in the cheaper versions. I hate those constant reminders that you didn't spring for a more expensive car, and there are plenty of those in the lower spec cars. Like these buttons here, for example, are entirely blacked out, and even this cutout for the head-up display still exists in the cheaper cars, but of course, there's just no head-up display. So, the back seat of the Sportage, and first things first, I'm sitting behind my own 175cm driving position, got miles of knee room. Headroom is okay without being great, but I guess that's the price you pay for a sort of swept back roofline and a panoramic sunroof. Now, elsewhere back here though, I've got to say, for a top spec GT line, it just doesn't feel that plush back here. And by that I mean some of the materials are a bit hard and scratchy, and while you do have your own vents, you don't have any temperature controls, which I'd expect to see in a flagship vehicle. It just doesn't have a real premium air back here. Now, to the all-important point in this segment, and that is boot space. I'll throw all the numbers up on screen for you, but the real-world reality is a boot that is deep and wide and really has enough space to carry whatever you might need to carry, groceries, cargo, whatever. But there is an important caveat. Under this flat floor here is a temporary spare wheel in this hybrid, whereas in some of the ICE cars, you get a full-size spare wheel.
The big news about this update for the Sportage is the expansion of Kia's hybrid powertrain, which is now available with all-wheel drive, and the inclusion of an 8-speed automatic for the 1.6-litre turbo petrol variants. Elsewhere, the 2-litre petrol option produces 115 kilowatts and 192 newton meters, and it pairs with a 6-speed automatic and drives the front wheels. The other pure petrol option is the 1.6-litre turbocharged petrol unit that produces 132 kilowatts and 265 newton meters, and it pairs with an 8-speed auto and powers all 4 wheels. Next comes the diesel, which is a 2-litre unit making 137 kilowatts and 416 newton meters. It pairs with an 8-speed automatic and powers all 4 wheels. And finally, there's the hybrid options, now with 2 or all-wheel drive. The hybrid pairs a 1.6-litre turbo petrol engine and a 6-speed automatic with an electric motor and a 1.49 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery to produce a total 173 kilowatts and 367 newton meters. All pure ICE Sportage models are fitted with a 54-litre fuel tank, while the hybrids get a 52-litre tank. But the hybrid more than makes up for it when it comes to fuel efficiency, with the front-wheel drive sipping a claimed 4.9 litres per 100 kilometres on the combined cycle, while the all-wheel drive drinks 5.3 litres. The diesel is the next most efficient, using a claimed 6.3 litres per 100 kilometres combined, while the turbo petrol needs 7.5 litres and the 2-litre petrol requires 8.1 litres.
Okay, I want to start this with just a small caveat. It hasn't been the most comprehensive drive of this car so far, and remember, there are a lot of variants: petrol, diesel, hybrid, 2-wheel drive, all-wheel drive. We haven't driven all of them, and so I do feel uncomfortable giving you my rock-solid verdict across the whole range. I can, however, give you my first impressions, my early thoughts, and the first of those is, I don't know if you can hear that alarm going off in the background, the overspeed warning. Thankfully, Kia, like Hyundai, now has a shortcut to mute it. You just hold down the volume control and it cuts the sound of that, which is by far the most annoying of the modern active safety systems. So the fact that you can at least mute it is a huge step in the right direction. Now elsewhere, I've got to say, as is pretty typical of modern Kias, the ride in this car is really, really well sorted. We've taken it through the city, onto the freeway, along a little twisting road section, and now on some typically coarse and broken country B roads. And I've got to say, it has handled it all really, really well. It does tend to kind of glide over most imperfections, but even when you're getting a little bit more frisky with it, there's not a huge amount of body roll. It just feels really solid and really well planted. And that is a good thing, no matter the car, even an SUV. I've got to say though, I haven't been totally blown away with the refinement in the cabin. On a road like this, it's totally fine, but on the wrong road surface, you definitely do get a bit of road noise in the cabin. Mind you, that is pretty hard to avoid on the really sort of coarse chip stuff. You can always hear it. But maybe it's because I've been driving a few EVs lately. I find the engine intrudes a little bit as well, the ICE engines obviously. When you put your foot down, you can really hear them revving and working hard. Obviously not a problem you have in something like a Kia EV5. That said, the way the gearbox channels that power is really smooth and easy. And when you put your foot down, no matter the powertrain, there's certainly enough urge to get you up and moving. But that is especially true in the diesel, which I do think is a bit of a peach of a powertrain. Super torquey, super easy to get this thing up and moving. Now, one small downside, while the ride hasn't changed, at least for any of the ICE-powered cars, the steering has changed for all of them. And at speed, it's really lovely. It's quite direct, quite confidence-inspiring, and really nicely weighted. But at low speeds, for some reason, it can feel a little bit darty, like it takes a really big bite when you put a little input in, and it just takes a little bit of getting used to. But at speed, when you're flowing, it feels really nicely suited to the car. So there you go, a taste test of the Kia Sportage. Check out carsguide.com.au for the full written review on this vehicle, but most importantly, keep an eye on the website when we get each and every one of these variants through the office and give them a proper test.
All Sportage models start with 7 airbags, and even the cheapest S gets a pretty full suite of safety stuff, including a new SOS button should you ever have an accident, AEB with junction sensing, blind spot monitoring, lane keep and lane follow assist, a rear view camera, and the always infuriating speed limit monitoring. From the SX Plus and up, you also get Kia's Highway Driving Assist, which pairs active cruise with a lane centering function. And the GT lines also get Remote Park Assist, which allows you to remotely drive in or out of tight spots, along with a blind spot view monitor and a rear view monitor. All Kia models also get the brand's 7-year unlimited kilometre warranty, 7 years of cap price servicing, and should you service with Kia, 8 years of roadside assistance. Turbo petrol and hybrid models require servicing every 12 months or 10,000 Ks, with the rest of 15,000 kilometre intervals. The Kia website has the full costings for each engine, but for reference, 7 years of hybrid ownership would cost you a not insubstantial $4,510.
I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not sure there's light years between how the old car drives and how this one drives, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It still feels like a super solid offering in its segment, plus the addition of more hybrids is only going to help them too. But I feel like I should almost whisper this bit, given it's a dirty word at the moment, but that diesel engine, it's a real peach, and if I wasn't afraid of being run out of Sydney's inner west with pitchforks, that's probably the one I'd be choosing. Anyway, that just scratches the surface of the Sportage story. So to read my full review on this car, on all of its rivals, and on just about every other car in Australia, head on over to carsguide.com.au.